everybody, welcome back to the channel of D&A Adventures. This is D&A Adventures Science Edition. Here on D&A Adventures Science Edition, we talk about all kinds of scientific things. We talk about geography, we talk about genealogy, we talk about rocks, we talk about Grey's Anatomy, we talk about all kinds of different things. Today we're talking about that cheap stuff at the gas station that usually has a yellow handle and most people aren't sure if they can actually put it in their car or not. It's that stuff that your grandpappy used to say, you can't put that in your car, it'll blow up. Well, it's not exactly true. So today we're talking about that good stuff that makes all kinds of power. Today we're talking about ethanol.
Ooh, cool. What is it?
I'm glad you asked. So ethanol is a clear, very flammable, very pungent tasting
stings the nostrils
liquid. Now, it is made for consumption, but not really by itself. You can drink pure ethanol, but it's definitely not recommended. Besides the fueling and the consumption aspect of ethanol, it is also used in many different things. So during COVID, ethanol was very important. Ethanol was used to make a lot of hand sanitizers and a lot of disinfectants. In the medical field, ethanol is used across very many different aspects. Ethanol is also used in a lot of paints, a lot of cleaners, a lot of many different things. Go to the store and actually look on the back and see what all contains ethanol. I mean, it is a very mass-produced alcohol that can be used in a lot of different things. Now, what I consider, I guess, the second biggest reason for ethanol is the consumption or drinking of it. I mean, it is used in a lot of different alcoholic beverages. I don't drink, I don't know a lot about alcoholic drinks, so I don't know what manufacturers use ethanol. I don't know how all that works. All I know is ethanol, because it's grain-based, you can drink it. Now, what I consider the number one use for ethanol is the go-go juice. The stuff that I put in my car and the stuff that a lot of different people across the country use in their everyday drivers and in their performance vehicles. All right, now it's time to talk all scientifical, so bear with me because I believe they say I was not the brightest in the box. I'd never had my kid's an honor student sticker. So ethanol is a 2-carbon alcohol with a chemical formula of C2H6O. So that means in ethanol there are 2 carbon atoms, 6 hydrogen atoms, and 1 oxygen atom. Now, a lot of you have heard of methanol. Methanol and ethanol are very similar alcohols, but they are also completely different. Ethanol is a grain-based alcohol, and methanol is I think they used to do it this way. I'm not sure if they still make it this way. It is a trees-based alcohol. Methanol is not made for consumption. It will kill you. So if it has the word meth in it, you probably shouldn't do it. Ethanol is consumable. You can drink it. E means you can drink. M, don't drink. So a lot of people has heard of ethanol. A lot of people see it at the gas stations. A lot of people drink it, but a lot of people don't really know what ethanol is. They just know what happens if you drink too much of it and what happens when you put it in your car. So we're gonna have a quick history lesson. So ethanol is naturally produced by the fermentation process of sugars by yeast. So it can happen in nature. So nature does all its naturing things, and you can actually get natural ethanol in nature. In Brazil and a lot of many other countries in the world, they produce their ethanol by sugarcane. In the US, we use mostly grain and corn because, I mean, honestly, I would say 3/4 of the United States is corn. So we use grain to produce our ethanol. So way back when in the 1800s, actually in my notes here, 1892 in Geneva, Switzerland, okay, the International Conference on Chemical Nomenclature was held. There, they gave ethanol its name. Before it was called just regular alcohol, but there are so many different types of alcohol, they needed the grain-based alcohol to be named something, so they come up with ethanol, and that's the same ethanol that we use today. First ethanol was actually commercially produced in the early 1800s as a fuel for lamps. I know when you put it in your vehicle, your fuel mileage goes down, so I wonder what their lamp MPG was. I guess MPG would be like minutes per gallon. I don't really know, but ethanol was used for, like, basically every other liquid back in the 1800s was for heating and light. So jumping ahead to the 1900s, it was first used in automotive by old Hank the First. Henry Ford put some of this in the Model T. I don't know if they dynoed it and it made any plus horsepower. Maybe it went up to freaking 18 horse. I don't really know. But ethanol was first used in cars in a rough area of 1908 by Henry Ford. Then jump ahead about, I would say about 20 years, and this is where ethanol is most known. This is where ethanol really kind of took off because of Prohibition. You couldn't drink it. That's when all the moonshiners and NASCAR was born.
Hey, you boys better hold on, because I'm going to have to stand on it.
Was when they were trying to make ethanol illegally in the woods and transport it through whatever, trains, trucks, moonshiners, the whole deal, to get their ethanol to make alcoholic beverages. Now at this time, ethanol, I don't think you could lie and say, oh, I'm just putting it in my tank, because ethanol really wasn't used for a fuel in cars yet. So basically they were making ethanol illegally, like that show on, I believe, Discovery Channel, Moonshiners. I mean, they were making it illegally and transporting it for alcohol, for consumption in the human body. Now, a lot of you know in the 1970s and 80s, you've heard of the gas crisis. I don't really know a lot about it because, I was not even thought of yet. So in the 70s and 80s, when the gas crisis hit, the U.S. really stepped its production up of ethanol because you can mix it with gas. It was another fuel source to fuel automobiles and fuel cars and whatever else that ran on gas. So they stepped up production, and they really haven't stopped since, because you can add fuel or add ethanol to your fuel, and it actually helps it better for the environment. And it's, like I said earlier, it's another fuel source that you can add, so you don't have to rely on just gas. Nowadays we produce it so much that it's actually a synthetic ethanol. Today ethanol is widely produced, very fast, very massively produced, mostly because they put it in normal gas to, better for the environment. But a lot of people are discovering what happens when you tune your car for it and you step on that accelerator pedal. Alright, now that we touched on many different things that ethanol is used for, we're going to talk about the main why I made this video, why I like ethanol so much. That is because the fueling aspect. So E85 is widely available now at a lot of different gas stations, and E85, if you put two and two together, 85% ethanol, 15% gas. They put gas in it because if you put straight ethanol in a tank, you get some guy freaking put it in a mason jar and try to drink it.
What?
Now, what you may not know, it says on gas pumps now, is all gasoline contains at least 10% ethanol. So they are putting at least 10% ethanol in normal gas. So what you fill up with every day at the gas station contains ethanol. They're also coming out with something called unleaded 88, which is a lot of gas stations who sell ethanol also have unleaded 88. So unleaded 88 is 15% ethanol. Now, most gas stations you go to that sell it have a little sticker that says you can use unleaded 88 in, I think, 03 or 04 in newer cars. Mostly because auto manufacturers have stepped up and basically adapted to the production of 15 or 10% ethanol in the fuel. So they made their fuel systems able to withstand alcohol. So they're getting better rubber lines, they're getting better injectors, O-rings, stuff like that can handle the ethanol in the fuel. So why does an engine require more ethanol than gas? Why is it when you put ethanol in your vehicle, if you have a flex fuel vehicle, your MPG goes way down? Well, it's all about the energy produced when it's burnt in the cylinder. Oxygen is naturally found in ethanol, so ethanol burns less efficiently and it burns cooler, so it takes a greater volume of ethanol to produce the same amount of energy as gas. So when you're driving down the road with a cruise set at 60, it takes more energy, it takes more ethanol to produce the same amount of energy as gas while you're cruising down the road. So this is where the old timers say, if you put it in your vehicle, it'll blow up. Well, it's not exactly true. It can and will hurt your vehicle over time if you're not properly tuned for it, but most of the time when they say it's going to blow up, it's not like you turn the key and like I said, it takes a greater volume of fuel to produce the same amount of energy as gas. So your ECU is tuned to run at peak efficiency on gas. If you put ethanol in your tank, it's going to be basically injecting the same volume that it needs for gas. When ethanol, you need more. You need a greater volume to be injected into the cylinder. Now, methanol, like I said earlier, methanol is very similar to ethanol. Methanol needs an even greater amount of volume to be injected into the cylinder because it burns even cooler and it burns even less efficient. So you have gas, ethanol, and methanol. Now, methanol, you're never going to find it in a daily driver. That is mostly used for like race cars, drag cars, and stuff like that. If you watch Cletus McFarland's channel, then you know that toast runs on methanol, and sometimes when they're letting it idle or something like that, you can see that the blower hat is actually starting to accumulate condensation. That's because methanol is very cool and it burns very cool. So why do I run E85? Why do I stand by E85 and ethanol? Why do many other racers and tuners and engine builders swear by E85? Why is it that my car is tuned on E85? Why is it that my wife's car is tuned on E85? What makes it so great? It's not like it's some magical juice that you can put in your freaking Grand Caravan and run 9s. It's not like that. It's the reason behind the ethanol is why everybody likes it. The reason why is power and octane rating. I'm going to try to explain octane rating to you because it's very, very important on what kind of fuel you put in your car. If your car requires a higher octane fuel, you need to put it in there. It's not just there for they wanted to print it on the gas cap or something like that. There's a reason why your vehicle takes a higher octane. So I'm going to try to explain octane to you. I'm not no chemist. I am not no genealogist freaking science guy. I'm not, I'll try to explain the best I can. So octane is the number you see at the pump when you get fuel. So you pull into the pump, you put your little card in, you pull the nozzle out, and most cars require or are okay with 87. Now, all them numbers that you see are the octane rating of fuel. So you have 87, 89, 91, 93, and they get more expensive as you go up. That is octane rating. So octane is the ability, the fuel's ability to withstand heat and pressure as it's compressed in the cylinder. The higher the octane, the more heat and pressure that it can withstand. Now, high compression engines, I had a BRZ that was considered high compression, but horsepower didn't back that up by any means. My BRZ, my STI, her WRX, forced induction engines, so turboed, supercharged, pro-charged, anything with forced induction or high compression needs 93 or greater octane fuel, 91, 93, give or take whatever the manufacturer is. Because in a forced induction or high compression engine there is more heat and pressure in the cylinder. Now, side note, I've heard a lot of this BS too, that if you put 93 in a normal car, like if I go out and put freaking 93 in my grandma's Dodge Caliber, it's not gonna hurt anything. Just because it is 93 octane doesn't mean it won't ignite like 87. You can run it, it's just fine. So the reason why you need a higher octane of fuel is because of pre-ignition. Now, pre-ignition is what happens when you're at your girlfriend's house for the first time. Pre-ignition is when fuel ignites before it's supposed to in the cylinder. That's when you get your pinging and your ponging, and bad things can happen if the fuel pre-ignites before it's supposed to by the spark plug. You want your fuel to be able to withstand the heat and pressure until it is told to be lit by the spark plug. No! Now, octane obviously is very, very, very important. The highest that I've seen, I don't know other parts of the country, but 93 in the States is very common for high octane. Now, this is the reason why I love ethanol, and a lot of people do love ethanol. It's because ethanol has an octane rating of 108 and methanol has one around 110. So that is quite the jump in octane rating from 91 pump gas to ethanol, which is 108. Now, that is the biggest reason why we love ethanol, is the octane. But it also, like I said earlier, it burns cooler, so the internal temp of the engine will also stay down compared to burning gas. And the accountability that you get with ethanol, because the higher octane, you won't really have to worry about pre-ignition or anything like that if you are tuned correctly. Now, 108 octane, that is the reason why we all love corn. I mean, you higher octane, the more boost, the more timing, the more bang, the more, you know, the more power you'll make. Also, direct injected versus indirect injected. You can do your research if you want. You can look at this. A lot of cars nowadays are direct injected. My STI and her WRX are indirect injected. So that being direct injected versus indirect will affect your power. It will affect how much fuel you actually need. So all in all, with the octane level of 108, you can pretty much run all kinds of boost and timing at ethanol and not have to worry about anything. 93, I got away from 93 because you don't know about the quality of fuel you're getting with 93. You could be sitting in there for years.
Down here? I hear people. Hey.
Ethanol, I am able to pull out of the tank and test at my house. I am able to get 5 gallons of ethanol, go to my house, test it, see what the quality is, and decide whether or not I'm going to run that in my car. It's the peace of mind knowing that I have that octane available. I have that cool burning fuel. Yes, it's cheaper, but yes, you burn more. So it's kind of one of those toss-up things. I swear by it, I'm gonna run it. If you get a good tune and you do all the supporting mods to run ethanol, you can make some serious power safely. I mean, my STI, I gained probably 50 horse just switching over to ethanol, and I've seen a lot of other cars who switch to ethanol and make a lot more power than a car with the same mods, same supporting mods, just on 93. It's safer, I mean, yes, it's better for the environment.
I'm keeping the earth clean.
But you can get more power and more reliability out of ethanol than you can 93. Now, to end this off, what would happen if you put ethanol in a non-ethanol or a non-flex fuel vehicle? What would it do? Will it blow up like the old guys say? What if you accidentally put ethanol in your car? What happens if you say you're at 3/4 or a quarter tank and you put ethanol in your fuel? What would happen? Would it run? Would it move? Well, we're gonna find out. So we're gonna take my wife's 2017 Subaru Outback and fill it full of ethanol. I believe it's at a half a tank. We're gonna fill that thing up with ethanol and drive it around and see what happens. If it blows up, if it throws a lean code, we'll see what happens. I don't know. All I know is I've done this experimente before with many different vehicles, and none of them have blown up. I've had one throw a lean code, but they've all ran just fine. So what happens when you put it in an Outback? What happens when you put it in a vehicle that's doesn't even think about ethanol? So I think we're gonna find out right now.
So today's test vehicle is going to be her 2017 Outback. It has got Subaru's FA motor in it, it's direct injected, not the EJ like my car and all the other previous experimental cars that I've done. So this has got the FA direct injected. We're going to fill this thing with ethanol and see what happens. So I have done this experiment on other vehicles, but not this vehicle, not a Subaru FA motor. I have filled my 05 Legacy, which has 274,000 miles. I have put 10 gallons in the car and it ran just fine. It did not throw a check engine light or nothing. We are going to see what this motor will do. I have done it to another direct injected engine, but I don't really want to tell you what it is because it was our work truck. So, and it's got a 5-liter in it, and it was just fine too. I put, I think, 8 gallons in that. So we are going to take her daily driver 2017 Subaru Legacy, or Subaru Outback. She had a Legacy before this. And fill it, it's got about a half a tank, fill it up with E85 and see if it runs, if it blows up, if it throws a check engine light, we don't know. So we're gonna experiment. We're at Casey's General Store in Bellefontaine, Ohio. This is where I usually get all my E85 for the car, so I'm keeping the variables, you know, I'm not going to a different gas station. This is the same E85 that I've been testing, I've been running, so I know it's good stuff. It is $1.84 a gallon, which is one of the cheapest that I've seen in a while. We're gonna fill the Outback up with some premium $1.84 E85. The last time I tested this, it was 83% ethanol, but that was about 2 months ago. So I don't know what it's at now, but It's good stuff. It smells good. Right. So it took 8.775 gallons of E85. So it brought us up to a full tank. I'm going to reset the trip so that way when we fill it up again, we know what our fuel mileage is. We have a lot of running to do today. We have 2 Christmases, so we're going to put some miles on it and see what our fuel mileage is, see if it blows up. So here we go. All right, sorry, it's dark, so it's a very, very grainy video. We have went 98.9 miles. No check engine light, running perfect. The only problem is we're getting 24.1 miles a gallon. So we have probably dropped over 3 miles per gallon. Sorry, it's a really rough road. Holy cow. So yeah, the fuel mileage is not great, which we knew that's what ethanol does to your fuel mileage, but no check engine lights. It's running great, idling great. It's actually got a little bit more pep to it. I mean, you know, I'm not going to run it to death because, you know, it's on ethanol, but... All right, so we are now 167.6. Nothing's changed, nothing's different. Still runs, still drives. It is, wow, that's really rough. Sorry. But it seems like every time I go to film, it's a rough road. 167 miles, everything's fine, everything's running good. The only notice is a horrible decrease in our fuel mileage. It actually just went up to 23 miles a gallon, which is about 4 to 5 mile per gallon less than what it usually gets. So it's been quite a few miles now, and we've had no issues whatsoever. I mean, I think we're actually down to quarter tanks, and we've not had any issues. It's fired right up, and it's been down to the teens every night. Gas mileage sucks, but yeah, we haven't had any issues. So putting ethanol in a 2017 Subaru Outback, at least a half a tank, did absolutely nothing. Just kill the fuel mileage. I appreciate everybody for watching. Please comment on the video if I misspoke or if something's not right. You know, I'm not perfect. Comment whatever, and then if you like the video and you like everything else we get into, if you like cars, if you like 6-liter stuff, and basically we got a big spring summer coming up with car shows and whatnot, and we're building her cars. So if you like all the videos, please follow along, and we'll see you next time.